They're like an animal. They're instinctive. Like, I smell fear or I smell alpha. And they smell alpha. And Democrats have to come up with an alpha. And it's not Tim Walz.
No, probably not.
And it's not Tim, the other Tim who ran.
Kane?
Tim Kane. These are not alphas. Trump
Really interesting.
is one of the most effective politicians, whatever you think of the policy and him as a person. Just as a politician, just understanding that always lean in to being more who you are. The people are not savvy about issues, but they smell a phony a mile away.
It looks like the Democrats have been taking notes, and they're seriously considering putting Tim Walz up against Donald Trump. Why? Because Trump's alpha male persona has clearly resonated with a large segment of the American public, and now the DNC seems to be trying to engineer a counterbalance. Enter Tim Walz. You'd think Bill Maher would support this move, especially after he criticized the party for propping up figures like AOC, but nope, Maher wasn't having it. Instead, he doubled down on his criticism, tearing into the DNC for thinking Walz could go toe-to-toe with Trump. Don't believe me?
Democrats have to come up with an alpha, and it's not Tim Walz.
No, probably not.
And it's not Tim, the other Tim who ran.
Kane?
Tim Kane. These are not alphas. It's like this thing of like, let's get a woman and then a docile man who's in every commercial where he's the asshole while mom takes care of business. You know, that's not a message that makes the tribe go, who is strong? Who's strong? Who's strong? Tim Walz. No. Oh, give me rock. I need to kill myself because Tim Walz. You know, that you gotta appeal to people at a sort of post-civilization stage where we're kind of at on a primal level.
Okay, that was a solid roast. I mean, seriously, who actually thinks Tim Walz can take on Trump? Even Bill Maher, a staunch Democrat and longtime Trump critic, isn't buying it. He flat out says Walz is no match for Trump, even going so far as to say he'd prefer a female presidential ticket over Walz because, in Maher's words, the guy isn't even a beta male. And Maher doesn't stop there. He digs in even deeper with more scathing takedowns of Walz.
You need a message, and then you find you find the messenger. No, but that's how it works for Trump.
That's the worst thing. The Democrats always say, message, here a message. Yeah, first of all, they did, and they don't like it. Second of all, they don't give a shit. It's not about the message. Trump changes his message from day to day. Tariffs everywhere. Tariffs nowhere.
Those are policy
it doesn't
decisions.
matter. But they don't care about policy.
His
They
message,
don't understand it. His message is, I'm me, I'm strong, and I'm daddy. You know, they're on this daddy thing, you know, and people want a daddy. You know, Tucker Carlson, that whole thing, you've heard that thing about daddy came home and you need a spanking. And I'm like, this is getting a little weird, Mrs. Robinson. You know, daddy, but you know what? That's what works, and that's what people respond to. They don't know the issues. They don't know the facts.
I agree.
And they have no interest in learning about them. They're like an animal. They're instinctive. Like, I smell fear or I smell alpha. And they smell alpha. And Democrats have to come up with an alpha.
Maher was a total savage, tearing into Tim Walz and his so-called campaign. Honestly, does anyone even remember what Walz's message was? Because I sure don't. If you do, drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. But Maher made a solid point. America didn't rally behind Trump because of a detailed policy manifesto. They backed the energy, the dominance, the alpha male swagger. It was about presence, not proposals. At a time when the nation felt the need to project strength on the world stage, Trump embodied that raw, unapologetic masculinity. Like it or not, it resonated. Maher even admitted he admired Trump's personality.
Trump
Really interesting.
is one of the most effective politicians, whatever you think of the policy and him as a person. Just as a politician, just understanding that always lean in to being more who you are. The people are not savvy about issues, but they smell a phony a mile away. And that kind of shit, nobody else does it.
Bill Maher didn't hold back. He sees Tim Walz as a total phony, the kind of politician who tries to play both sides and ends up standing for nothing. In stark contrast, Maher views Donald Trump as the real deal, like him or hate him. What you see is what you get. There's no filter, no facade. Trump speaks his mind. For better or worse, that kind of raw authenticity is exactly what resonates with millions of Americans. Meanwhile, Walz's track record is riddled with inconsistencies. And, frankly, lies. Take his flip-flop on COVID lockdowns, for example. He insisted on following the science, yet was caught attending maskless indoor events while enforcing strict rules on everyone else. Then there's his claim that Minnesota's economy was booming, even though the state was actually facing a massive budget shortfall. And let's not forget his mixed messaging during the George Floyd riots, swinging between condemning the violence and making excuses for it. It's no wonder. Maher isn't buying what Walz is selling. However,
he can do that and sometimes kind of make me go, oh man, I got to give it up. Like when he did that thing where the guy came in from the Taliban and he said, this is an aerial picture of your house. If during our withdrawal, one American is hurt, just know I know where you live. I was like, oh, can we just play the music now? Because I don't care. It's Donald Trump and he's the worst person ever, blah, blah, blah. I fucking love that. Mm-hmm. One time they were doing something was going on with, and he said, you know what? When you come after New York, you got to go through me. It's like, oh, hometown boy. You know, he has those moments that no other politician has. And the Democrats have to find that guy.
The Democrats? Bill Maher didn't hold back. He sees Tim Walz as a total phony, the kind of politician who tries to play both sides and ends up standing for nothing. In stark contrast, Maher views Donald Trump as the real deal, like him or hate him. What you see is what you get. There's no filter, no facade. Trump speaks his mind. For better or worse, that kind of raw authenticity is exactly what resonates with millions of Americans. The Democrats are in desperate need of someone who can match the energy, charisma, and raw connection that truly resonates with voters. But here's the billion-dollar question: who? Their current roster either alienates the political center or lacks the strength to energize the base. And then came the jaw dropper. Did you catch Bill Maher's unexpected moment of admiration for Donald Trump?